The crystalline chamber hummed with ancient energy as Riza was dragged before the oracle's dais, his human feet scraping against the polished obsidian floor. The Zephyrian guards flanking him kept their plasma rifles trained on his chest, their forearms moving with practiced precision. He had expected execution, interrogation, perhaps even experimentation. What he hadn't expected was this: standing before the most sacred being in the galactic consortium, surrounded by representatives from a dozen alien species, all watching with barely concealed anticipation. The oracle itself was a sight to behold, a towering crystalline entity that seemed to bend light around its form, ancient beyond comprehension. Its voice resonated through the chamber without sound, speaking directly into the minds of all present. "Bring the human closer," the oracle commanded, its mental voice carrying the weight of millennia. Riza stumbled forward as the guards shoved him, his shackled hands clanging against each other. Around the circular chamber, alien dignitaries from across known space observed from their elevated platforms. The insectoid Klixari chittered nervously, their compound eyes reflecting the oracle's ethereal glow. The massive Gorvani delegates, each the size of a small building, rumbled in their subsonic language. Even the ethereal veil-touched, beings of pure energy, seemed to flicker with unusual intensity. "You know why you are here, human," the oracle continued, its attention focusing on Riza like a stellar magnifying glass. "Your species has been problematic. In 3 centuries since first contact, you have disrupted trade routes, refused to submit to consortium authority, and somehow, impossibly continue to expand despite our sanctions." Riza lifted his chin defiantly, meeting what he assumed was the oracle's gaze. "We don't bow to tyrants. Never have, never will." A ripple of shocked whispers passed through the assembled delegates. No one spoke to the oracle with such disrespect. The Zephyrian guards raised their weapons, but the oracle gestured for them to wait. "Interesting," the oracle mused. "Tell me, human, what do you know of your origins?" "Earth, Sol system. We evolved from—" "No," the oracle interrupted, its mental voice growing more intense. "What do you know of your true origins?" Riza frowned, confusion replacing his defiance. "I don't understand." The oracle began to glow brighter, and suddenly the chamber filled with holographic images, star charts, ancient texts, genetic sequences that spiraled through the air like DNA made of light. 50,000 years ago, the oracle began, before the consortium, before most of these species achieved sentience, there was the first civilization. They called themselves the architects, and they were the builders of this galaxy's first empire. Not through conquest, but through creation. They seeded worlds, guided evolution, and established the principles that would one day become the foundation of all galactic law. The holograms shifted, showing a species that looked remarkably familiar. Bipedal, bilateral symmetry, forward-facing eyes. The architects disappeared long ago, leaving behind only ruins, legends, and one great mystery. What became of their direct descendants? Anna, the young Zephyrian xenobiologist who had been studying human genetics, stepped forward from her position among the research contingent. Her translator collar crackled as she spoke. "Oracle, the genetic markers we found in the human samples. They match the ancient sequences in the Founder's archive." "Indeed," the oracle confirmed, its attention never leaving Riza. "Which brings us to you, human. Your species wasn't simply another evolutionary accident on a backwater planet. You are the lost children of the architects scattered to a distant world and forgotten by history." Riza's mind reeled. "That's impossible. We have fossil records, evolutionary history, all true," the oracle acknowledged. "The architects didn't create you from nothing. They took an existing species and elevated it, guided its development, then sent a population far from the core worlds when they foresaw their own coming extinction. Your world of Earth was their final gift, a haven where their genetic legacy could survive." The chamber fell silent except for the low hum of translation devices. Delegate after delegate began to understand the implications. "This changes everything," whispered the Klixari ambassador. The oracle's form brightened further. "According to the ancient laws established by the architects themselves, laws that form the very foundation of consortium authority, the direct genetic descendants of the architects cannot be subjugated, sanctioned, or controlled by any galactic government. They possess what your species might call sovereignty by birthright." Riza looked around the chamber, seeing fear dawning in alien eyes. You mean? Your species has been operating under the protection of the highest galactic law without even knowing it, the Oracle confirmed. Every sanction, every trade embargo, every attempt to force human compliance has been illegal under the most ancient and sacred laws of this galaxy. Anna approached the dais, her forearms gesturing excitedly. Oracle, if this is true, then humans aren't just protected, they're legally entitled to full recognition as a founder species, the Oracle finished, with all the rights and privileges thereof, including the right to veto consortium decisions, claim territories without dispute, and the Oracle paused dramatically, the right to demand reparations for illegal sanctions. The Gorvani delegate's subsonic rumble took on a distinctly worried tone. The veil touched flickered more rapidly. Even the usually unflappable Clixari began an agitated clicking. Riza straightened, the shackles around his wrists suddenly feeling less like restraints and more like an insult to his entire species. So what happens now? The Oracle's mental voice carried what almost sounded like amusement. Now, human descendant of the architects, you have a choice. Your species can continue as they have been, stubborn, independent, and blissfully unaware of their heritage. Or they can claim their birthright and take their place as the rightful inheritors of the galaxy's greatest civilization. And if we choose the second option, then the consortium will have to adjust to serving the children of their creators, rather than trying to control them. Riza smiled, expression that looked surprisingly similar to those worn by the architects in the ancient holograms, still floating around the chamber. I think my people are going to like option 2. The Oracle's glow intensified one final time. Welcome to your inheritance, child of the architects. Try not to break too many things while you're claiming it. As chaos erupted among the alien delegates, Riza stood in the center of it all, no longer a prisoner but the representative of humanity's cosmic destiny. The shackles fell from his wrists with a decisive clang that echoed through the chamber, like the sound of history changing forever.